All right, y'all. Welcome to the next installment of the Dismount Podcast. And today we have episode 46 coming at you. Title got changed on this one, and I absolutely love it. We're talking growth, bamboo or bonsai. And we're going to leave that up into your own interpretation. Maybe we'll bring in our thoughts by the end of this episode. That might be the last thing that we share there, how we view bonsai versus bamboo or bamboo versus bonsai. But it's pretty open. Me and Titty had completely different thoughts on the bamboo versus bonsai. But today, let's discuss real quick what's going to be our lineup of questions that the three of us are going to dive into. Question number one is going to be, what does growth look like to you? Is it different from learning, or is it one and the same? Then we're going to jump over to, are there some ways you look at how you've grown and kind of wish that you might have changed things? If there are, what would you change / what would you do today? Number three is going to be, are there examples of growth you strive towards? Who are some masters of growth you look up to? Grow up. How old is too old to be acting like a child? What ways do you think it's unhealthy, or is it actually extremely healthy for you? Whoa. And then we're going to jump over to, in what ways are you most proud of your personal growth? What ways do you need to grow up? We all have ways. Well, most of us have ways. Maybe some of us think that we got all the answers. But and if there are none, if you think you are the absolute G, then share. What do you think in American culture that people could learn from or grow with? And last but not least, when do you see the most growth in your personal life? All right, let's get railing right into it. What does growth look like to you? Is it different from learning, or are they one and the same? And for me, growth is expansion. Growth is, I learn, and this is kind of I do think that they do go hand in hand together, but I think that I think that growth comes after the learning, but the learning actually comes from different ways than just like your successes. I think that failures, I think that falling on your face, I think that absolutely being slapped by life are all these different ways that you can just be knocked on your ass, basically, or floored, like total mental breakdown of like, what did I just experience? That then you sit there and you reflect. And I think that is one of the pieces of the puzzle for me that I've always done up to this point, but is something that I'm definitely transitioning out of, is I don't give myself enough time to actually reflect. I'm always like, oh, fell on my face. Okay, now let's try X, Y, and Z plan. Oh, well, fell on my face. All right, back to the beginning of the alphabet. Let's try A, B, and C over again. And just always jumping to the next thing versus taking some of that time to reset and actually allow yourself to go, well, what the heck did I actually just experience? And are there things that I could take from this to expand myself into a better version of myself, one that has more capacity to take on more, one that has better emotional intelligence, all these different things that I think build you into this character, which was a recent episode of ours, that you can look in the mirror every day when you wake up and go, damn, I'm proud of myself. I've come this far. Now what's next? Because I don't like a plant, bonsai, or bamboo. It's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to expand, grow taller, grow wider, take over, more area. Then why can't I keep doing that as a human? I don't see there being any point in time in my life where I'm actually going to be like, well, I got all the answers. I think that might be when I've realized, well, okay, shit, I've probably lived enough life and I've learned everything and time to go, And it's just like, or it's time for whatever might be after this. Why can't my energy continue to expand? And that's kind of where, like, at the underlying thing to me of growth is it's really focused on my energy, how much I put towards the capacity of things that I can do, my emotional capacity, all those different things that I kind of just discussed recently, just now. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, Brandon, what does growth look like to you?
For me, I have it in two different concepts. So for the first one, I think about it like plants. And I'm like, do plants learn? I know that there's at least a couple of different species of plants. I'll just say one. One species of plants. Say that there's some kind of insect that's preying on it. It's going to go send that message through the root system, and then it's going to tell the rest of the plant, hey, there's a threat, and then it responds. It might emit an odor. It might do something that's going to deter said insect from preying on it. The other concept, the jury's out on that. It's like, does a plant learn? Doesn't it learn? I like to think it kind of learns because if it can respond, it can survive. If it's surviving, it's learning.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it's at least evolving, and then you could still argue it's learning. But when I think about like self-growth or, growth relating to humans, I think about identity, self-concept, and we're always going to have this opportunity to test ourselves with new, novel challenges and experiences. So for me, I can't really separate one from the other. Like I would see learning as necessary for growth. But as you were talking, I was like, there's a loophole. I was like, well, you could grow in really bad ways. That doesn't mean you're learning shit. Like, yeah. I'll save a lot of our thoughts on bamboo, but if anybody's had a bamboo in their backyard, they know that sometimes it's growing and it's not a positive thing.
No.
But
nope.
Yeah, so I would say learning often is like you're trying to solve something or get better, improve, survive, but growing can actually, I've never really thought about it as a bad thing, but it can also be a bad thing if it's misguided. And like we talked about in a previous episode, if you lean the ladder up against the wrong wall and you're still growing, then you've wasted your time because you just climbed up the wrong wall.
Well, I can think of one thing right off the bat for me, like real personal, would be probably my relationship with like marijuana. Like for me, like you get a tolerance, and that's kind of the word that I was going to be throwing around right now is tolerance. And so like that's going to continue to grow your tolerance. And now it's, more and more that you have to actually take on to feel something. That could be alcohol. That could be like the dependence of your antidepressants, any of those types of things that would be a substance or something that's outside of you that you're taking into your body to help you in whatever way that you feel that it's going to help you at that point in time. But like that, that growth in the negative way, I just think of like alcohol definitely being another one of like, I remember getting to a place where I could drink like a 30 rack of beer and just like, dear Lord, like I should not be coherent right now versus like,
dude, it's crazy. Like just switching from drinking on like whenever I want to just weekends alone. And I went to my brother's birthday. It's like, I'm not drinking for a few weeks. I'm drinking my brother's birthday. And then like ask my girlfriend, like, I couldn't walk in a straight line after like an amount of beer that wouldn't do anything to me 3 months ago. She's like, dude, I had to chase you around the neighborhood because it wasn't that you were trying to run off. It's that you just couldn't walk in a straight line. It's wild, man.
So for you, big dog, what does growth look like for you, my man?
So I was trying to differentiate the learning and the growth. Like I thought that was an interesting question because I feel like for me, they were hand in hand, but I guess the learning for me is like collecting the info, and then the growing would be applying it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
I didn't see that coming.
Fucking smart, dude. Yeah, dude, I'm the smart guy over here, dude. Smart cookie award. So like, yeah, I can learn all I want. I can learn from my mistakes. I can learn how to do something new, a hobby or whatever. But until I apply what I've learned, then I don't see that growth has really come into the picture quite yet. Like wow. I can learn that like, hey, if I do this, then that's gonna, if I put my hand on a fucking hot stove and burn my hand, oh fuck, dude, I am shit out of luck now. Now my hand is seared. Okay, and then I go back to it. I'm like, okay, next time the hot pan's on, I'm like, am I gonna do it again? So the growth is that. No, okay, I've learned from my past mistakes and I can move forward. I think that for me would be growth.
I really like that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
what was the name of our episode previously?
Character.
Well, no. I just meant the growth, like the subtitle. Was it like grower or shower?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was either grower or shower,
Yeah.
or can I outpace my destiny?
So I thought the grow and shower was funny because I was like, okay, because this could apply here. So I thought about okay, how could someone be in this instance like a grower or a shower? And I feel like the shower is that type of person who's on social media, oh dude, I'm out here, I'm on, I'm doing the yoga, look at what I did, here's my screenshot, my Strava, and yada yada yada. And that's cool and everything, but the grower, I think, is the type of person who's I'm out here in the dark just doing the types of things. It's not loud. It's just I'm going to go away in, Buddhist monk type shit. You're not going to hear from me. You're not going to see from me. When I come back, I'm a completely different person.
So does size matter?
Does size matter? No. Typically, if you're walking around with that shower energy, probably could learn something from the growers of the world. And I just it's funny you brought up the plants too. I never really spent a lot of time with plants in my life. My girlfriend really likes them. And what stood out to me was even in the growth standpoint was when I saw my girlfriend went away for a few days and I was in charge of the plants on the staircase, and I was like, I cannot fuck this up. She comes back and I didn't take care of the plants. Shit, dude, how am I ever going to get a child, dude? I can't even take care of the plants outside. You know what I mean? So, it was a weird weather week. It was hot, cold, rainy, sunny. And some of the bits of the plants started to die. And I'm like, oh shit, dude, I might be cooked here. You know what I mean? And what I actually learned was some of these plants, if you were to remove some of the dead parts of it or the not so great parts, that allows the rest of it to kind of promote the growth. And that's been huge for me is again, as far as talking about growth is, not so much even the learning. I guess actually it does relate to the learning would be removing the old habits, removing the bullshit, and then continuing to move forward. Because you don't have to look at the plant and go, ah, shit, it's dead, throw it in the trash. I hope no one would think that of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So being able to sit there and trim off the bad parts and leave the rest of the good to promote the growth. Learn a lot from plants and a lot of patience and understanding from I guess promoting the correct environment for those things to grow.
Well, yeah, I learned that. So when a plant does have that death, I learned this from my tomato plants last year. When a plant, those arms of the plant start to die and they're going a little yellow or the plant didn't have enough, it's going to continue to try to send energy to those to bring them back to life. Mm-hmm. So by removing those actually off the plant, you've now helped the plant be able to change where it's pushing its energy towards because it's no longer got those pieces of it where it's trying to bring those back to life.
Yeah, if I'm focusing my energy on negative shit, then how am I supposed to, if I'm spreading myself thin on negative stuff, then what am I going to do with the positive stuff I want to focus on?
And
I'm just not gonna have that bandwidth.
Instantaneously, when I thought about plants, I started thinking about sunflowers, dude. And how, when we were talking about growth and learning, watching sunflowers literally change to where the sun is all day. I haven't grown those physically, but I drive past a house that has them on my way to work, and you can just see, in the morning, they're all facing one way. And then in the afternoon, when I drive by, they're all facing the other way because the sun's now gone up and over. Yeah. And, how does that, that's just so cool to think, every day that plant is just rotating itself to be able to continue staying with the sun. That's wild.
Yeah. How the hell they know that?
Yeah.
That's right. They're intelligent beings and we don't even give them the credit for it. And that's what's and then there's, again, you think of different people, environment's so huge because plants are different. I have an indoor plant and an outdoor plant. Can't put the outdoor plant where I put the indoor plant. Can't put the indoor plant where I put the outdoor plant. It's two completely different things. So if you think of people in general, people are going to move at their own pace. They're going to grow at their own pace. And the more realistic you are with yourself in your path of growth, then you can be able to say, cool, I'm patient, I'm understanding. Maybe because Zach is growing faster than I am, doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. It just means that it's taking me a little longer. I'm just, I'm still on the right path. It just might take me my own pace compared to what you're on. And that allows me the space I need to continue to grow, but also allows the ability for me to look at other people and have patience and understanding for their journey too.
Oh, the patience is huge, because taking the time to actually have patience with yourself and taking the time to have patience with others that you want to keep riding with, and they're doing the work, and you're just like, nah, dude, you got to be chill, man. Like, fucking relax, dog.
Yeah.
Take a break. Hit the foreman's basement, dude. Like, come on now. Like, it's all good. And
yeah, it's like, well, if I can, like, if you and I are on a bike ride and I take my girlfriend on a bike ride today, it's two completely different things.
yeah,
Doesn't mean she's doing anything wrong. Doesn't mean we're doing anything better than her. It's just we have maybe set more time aside to one thing. If I try to go and learn what she does for a living in her job, she'll just laugh at me, like, it's like, there's no way I'd be able to comprehend that. So it's cool to see, like, the patience, understanding for different paths and people and how they continue to grow.
and I think you brought it up at one point in time of it being instinct, to where, like, is it instinct for these plants to literally do what they do? Or is it that there is so much plant consciousness that we have not personally dove into in terms of science? Or is there so much information that has been not shared with the public, or is released in all these different, universities that are all around the world releasing these papers, that it's just, there's so much bombardment of information out there that, like, I've never taken the time to actually explore who's actually exploring the plants unknown,
Mm-hmm.
But I was definitely interested in, like, the instinct versus like the growth or the learning from things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, did a sunflower go, well, the three guys next to me rotated and I didn't rotate. Oh, I should have rotated, because now I'm really hurting and they're 3 inches taller than me,
Yeah. Yeah, it comes into the play of, like, not just knowing better, but actually doing it too. Like, actually doing better. Because I can know that this is what I should be doing, but am I actually doing it?
Yeah.
Right. So, like, I can see those 3 plants next to me. They're fucking popping up. And I'm like, oh, damn, dude, look at how much better they're doing. If I had only just applied myself a little more, And it's just like, well, if you just would have put the time in and did the things and that's a lot for me too, is like, I think as far as, like, personal growth and where I can get better, like, that's one thing that I would lean into is, like, a lot of the time I know exactly what I need to be doing. It's just a lot of not saying, it's more of just doing.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping over to question number 2, are there some ways you look at how you've grown and kind of wish that you might have changed things?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would just be more of, like, listening and kind of piggybacking off what I just said, kind of listening to my heart more. Like, I know where I need to be. I know what things serve me for the most part, but a lot of times it's a lot easier to choose comfort over applying yourself to grow. Like, growing involves pain. I know my dad loved that. He would, I think, in the Marines, like, he would say, dude, I'd be like 8 years old and I would suck at something or hurt myself, fall off the bike. He would just, pain is good, say it. I'm like, Dad, I'm hungry. I hurt my leg. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, it is good. And I think that, like, choosing comfort over the pain is one thing where I think that I need to kind of pivot on. Like, any growth you want to experience in life probably involves some type of pain. If I want to grow my muscles, I have to do more push-ups, and that fucking sucks. If I want to learn how to edit our podcast correctly, I need to sit there and suck at it before I am good at it. Like, there would be no point in life to just show up and be good at anything. You couldn't appreciate anyone's talents or what they bring to the table if we were all good at everything. So I think, like, being able to get off the hamster wheel and more be on the bike of life and not just kind of be stationary, running around and staying in the same place and kind of just break free and let it rip is someplace where I would prefer to be.
Oh, that's it's a challenge, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it goes into, like, kind of, owning my mistakes too. Like, whatever it is, like, even if it is just like, hey, I haven't put the most emphasis on, being the person I want to be. Like, that's okay in general. So whether it's that mistake or just the mistakes I make while I'm attempting to grow, like, owning those, being perfectly fine with them. And then, again, that's a grower mentality. The shower mentality just shows you how great they were and didn't show you any of the, things it took to get to that result. And those are the things I start to appreciate. Like we talk about the podcast and like how much we appreciate like the people that show the process it takes to get where they're going, as opposed to just showing you the end result. And that's tough. So like, I need to be more realistic myself to understand that like if I look up to somebody who like has a really cool thing going on, then I'm like, man, not envious, but I want to be more like that person, understanding that they put in the work, they went through the trials and tribulations of whatever that process was, and being more realistic with myself as opposed to just expecting myself to get there without putting in any of that hard work in.
Yeah, it's very rare that you see people show off their growing pains.
No.
Because that's an extreme vulnerability to say that you're not good at something, that, I'm diligently working on this and this is what I'm doing to get to that place. And I'm going to take you along for that journey and just watch how I absolutely struggle and just want to punch myself in the face through this process before I actually am the guy who can just say, woo,
like,
look who I am.
What do you think that is, though? Do people not think that's entertaining or engaging? Like, I think it is. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would like appreciate that more, that type of humility, I guess. Like I am a human being. I'm going to make mistakes. This is what it took for me to get there. I appreciate that more, but I guess as far as engagement goes, people just want to see I'm on top of the world, not what it took to get there.
Well, I think people, and I don't want to categorize things, but like, no one really wants to see the journey to get to the top, but they want to see, they are so diligent to see someone fall. Like you want to think that you're able to be your heroes.
Yeah.
But so many people, I don't want to think that our world is dark, but I think a lot of people want to see like, okay, how long is this person going to ride this high before they just cave down and you go, haha, I knew you were human all along, versus like, oh, this person's literally like an ultra human. Like this person, how does this person have all these things?
Yeah,
because we don't see the background shit.
Why did I want Tom Brady to suck at football so bad?
It's immediately what I thought.
Yeah,
about.
why did I want him to suck so bad? And like I was probably out of jealousy. Like I wish Tom Brady played for our team. Like I was envious of how good he was at something that I probably never took the time to see what it took for him to be that type of person. And like that's something that I appreciate about like whether he kisses his son on the mouth or not is kind of weird, but that's okay. But what I will say is like I do appreciate the fact that it's gonna be hard to move past that, I know. But what I do appreciate that is like anytime I find myself envious in that situation, it's probably because it's a little bit of like, oh man, not only do I wish you were like on our team, but like I kind of like want a little bit piece of that on my side too. And I think it would take for him or for me to dig into what made him more than it would be for me to just like be so encapsulated in the end result as opposed to what it took for him to get there.
Yeah, how much easier is it for me to wish that person's failures versus actually analyze and take the time to go, oh shit, that's what they did to get to that point?
Yeah.
Oh fudge, man. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
And then it's versus like, wow, that is really freaking impressive. And this goes back to something that I said podcast episodes ago about like Usain Bolt and different people who have like accomplished things multiple times. Or for instance, I'll just use the Olympics in general. Like I don't sit there and go, oh shit, some person from Russia just beat our United States score. Oh, some person from China just got the new world record. I go, damn, a human was able to just do that? Shit, I'm just like them. I'm a human as well. Like I think of like, damn, round of applause for that shit.
Yeah.
Like if they're capable of doing that, then that means that I have the capabilities of becoming that. And I think that goes back to our competition episode and where I love healthy competition where it's keep pushing each other to that next level versus how do I clip this person's wings and bring them back down to my level?
Yeah.
Yeah. On a side note, did you hear that they're starting to do, it's not like official, but they're taking like Olympic athletes and top performers, and they're like okay, here's $1 million if you can break this record. There's no rules.
Yeah, I did see that they're starting like a juiced Olympics.
I'm like,
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna
Let's
be
go.
wild.
We've all been asking for that, honestly.
I have not been.
Yes, you have. Dude, you're telling me, like, if they would do a juiced, like, Major League Baseball where every person was on
Okay,
steroids, I'd
okay,
watch that
all right,
every
yeah.
night. You want to get me to watch baseball? Like, unban steroids. I'll watch it every night.
Yeah, I want to
Guy's
see
going to
more
hit home runs
all the
800
time.
feet, dude. It's just
Yeah.
going to be awesome. Downtown Pittsburgh's going to be on watch.
If they had an average of 15 home runs a game, I'm probably watching baseball again.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the pitchers though, who are gonna start
Oh.
throwing like a $120?
Well, you're right. It's going to go both
That's
ways,
insane.
too. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I changed my answer.
Yeah.
I would be watching baseball. I'd be about that.
Yeah, but you'll have a PA state trooper there just like giving speeding tickets.
Speeding tickets.
We talk about speeding tickets more than anything on this podcast.
We
I
do.
swear.
So for you, Brandon, in terms of your growth, are there things that you might have wanted to have done differently?
So it's funny, we were talking about earlier about like us getting to this age and whatnot. And this is such an old person thing to say, but it's like, well, no, now that I've passed through the stages of life and got to where I am now, still very young, but I don't know. Like you don't really want to give up a lot of those things that make you who you are. And in case you guys did read what I wrote by any chance, I put down, it's from our character episode. It first started in its original definition as like to cut or sharpen, and then you leave a mark or distinctive quality. And I'm like, well, if I were to undo those things, then I'd be lacking the character that I have today. Like, and to me, like that could be good or bad, but still, like it's who I am, and I don't want to go back and undo those things because. Like right now, like sure, maybe a month from now, if I'm feeling really bitter and cynical, all of a sudden I might be like, I would change this, and this. But as of right now, I would say the experiences leading up to now make me who I am. So I couldn't go back. I definitely wouldn't want to go back and change it. And having said that, like from the things I wish I would have changed, I take it through like a humanistic perspective of we're always trying to grow in some kind of way. Like I try to take all those actions leading up to, even if someone's like in the heart of an addiction, the crazy part is they're still trying to grow and it's in their own fucked up way. But like somebody who's trying to get back to that high is trying to make themselves feel better. And, that was an old class of mine. Drugs and Behavior 221 is about people do drugs for two reasons, to feel good and to feel better. So, like, I think about it as, like, I'm certainly not referencing those things about myself, but without all the experience that I've had, all the, like, good and the bad, I'm going to be missing a whole lot of me. So I'll keep them. I'll keep them all. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. I definitely, for myself, there's one thing that I learned, that money is tied to your energy. And so I'm still not the most fantastic with finances. I'm one of those guys who kind of always really makes, like, I spend to experience. And I spend on myself in terms of not like materialistic things. Like, for instance, last year, I picked up lacrosse again and was like, dropped like $600-700 on all kind of new gear and
Jesus
stuff.
Christ,
Like,
dude, who do you
just
think you are?
Well, just
It's lacrosse gear. That's a whole different animal.
well,
It's
I
like,
mean,
like one stick.
$100 for cleats, $100 for a helmet, probably $100 in shoulder pads. I even went to Play It Again Sports, man. I even bought this stuff used, like,
Bro, I don't even have a bike pump. I'd rather blow it up with my mouth.
It's an interesting statement. I mean, we're gonna clip that one
Shut up
and add some stuff to it because I mean, you like to blow it up with your mouth, brother. It's bike tires, bike tires, bike tires. Okay.
Reel it in.
So, grower, shower. And the other thing, the finances is one thing. Like, I did learn that, like, my energy is tied to my finances. So the more that I spend, the more that I'm able to have, abundance come back to me. So that's not something that I think that I would ever want to change about myself. I had so many great experiences. Like, I was the guy who, at 18 years old, I was like, guys, we're going on a trip down to Myrtle Beach. I already bought everything, and just pay me whatever you can, whenever you can. The place is booked. We're going. And it's just like, I had an amazing time going on that trip. And everybody ended up throwing me back the money towards that trip. But, like, I put myself out there, drained my bank account pretty decently to be able to go do that type of thing with the, like, hopes that it would come back. And it always has come back.
Yeah.
I've always had the ability to take care of myself. Oh, wow, I just spent all this money on this situation, and then turn around and you're like, oh, I just got a bonus at work a mid-year bonus. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, cool. Or, oh, just had I had an old, like, bond that my grandma, like, got for me that, like, I got in the mail the one day that said, like, you need to cash this out. And I was just like, well, shit. Okay, cool. I needed some money to fix my car right now. So that works out perfectly. But the only thing that I would like to go back and change is my first job out of college. I went into that job going, all right, I'm going to gain all the experience I can because I want to be an engineer who gets his professional engineering license, gets his PE, and just is able to sit in his house in his boxers and just sit at his desk, approve drawings, create different packages for people, and just get paid bank for that situation. Then I started actually learning about the industry and going, oh, shit, I need a bunch of insurance to do this. Oh, shit. Like 40% of the time I might be getting sued for something because someone was like the contractor screwed something up or this person screwed something up. And I better have all this back data to be able to make sure that my shit was in check because someone else down the line, whether that was the engineering firm that you end up passing it off to, which then is the company that sells, the distribution of the materials. And then there's a guy who gets hired to be a contractor to do it. But then that contractor has like 4 subcontractors underneath of it. And you're like, whoa. And that first job, the owner of that company, not a bad dude, but they were not as involved as I thought that they should be. And I watched how much time you actually really needed to spend to make a company successful that you actually built from the ground up versus basically buying someone's company and then just being able to keep that, profit rolling, not lose it. And that first job, I went from someone walking in the door first day to going, I'm going to gain all this knowledge from this and it's going to be great. And I'm going to learn I'm working for a small company and I'm going to learn how to run a small company from these people to, oh, I kind of want to spend some time like actually living life versus just like, shit, I got to be on call at all times. Mm-hmm. And that killed that dream for me at, 23, and it took me about 5 years coming back to 28 to just say like, shit on that idea, dude. I am building a company for myself because that will allow me to buy back my time. That'll allow me to spend time. Like, I got a dog. I want to spend so much, like, that dog's got 9 to 19 years versus my potential 90. And like, I want to give that dog the best life. And when I'm literally coming home every weekend and trying to build something, not going and camping like I love to do or going exploring in the woods, shit, dude, I'm missing out on that stuff. Nah. We got to change this scenario. And that's something that I'm working on now. But I would have really have liked to been more aware at that age to not smash something that was always probably a dream of mine since I was little, and walked in the first day and was like blindsided, like, oh shit. So that's really the only thing that I would have liked to change is not allowing the actions of others in such a small, such a small like data set that I was taking, which was just one company that I was working for at the time, and creating this massive picture versus now have worked for maybe 4 companies technically since I came out of college, because the one got sold, and just looking at all those and going, these are the motherfuckers that are running this place. Holy shit. There is no reason why I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I don't need to make millions of dollars. I just need to subsidize the income that I want, which is the $333 a day. $333 a day. That is all I want to be able to make, to be able to live life comfortably and do the things that I want to. So that would be the only thing that I would have changed.
Yeah.
Over these past couple of years.
Damn.
Examples of growth that you strive towards, Brandon.
Oh. So I'd say here are 2 sets of people. Low-hanging fruits, my parents. You both have met them, so you're like, okay, yeah, makes sense. They both are like people who I'd be very curious to see a parallel universe where my brothers and I don't exist, to see where my parents would be without us, because just having 3 boys to raise and grow up, it's like crazy work. And my dad, I know whenever my mom was pregnant with me, they were moving from one house to another, and my dad flipped the whole house in a week. Just like everything about it that needed change and needed redone. Before I didn't step into that door, to be fair. Before I was carried into that doorway, the whole house was like redone. So I'm like, oh man, both my parents are bosses like that. Like my mom, her and her career in like finance and business, like she was an absolute boss. And at a time, like, we're not going to get political, but like at a time where females in banking were not as like popular, and you really had to like know your shit. You had to perform, and you had to be always on your game to keep that respect or earn it for people who didn't respect you yet. And both of them are like 2 complete badasses in the sense of growth. In sense of general, but growth in particular. The other one is my professor at Slippery Rock, Dr. Strano. Absolute boss when it comes to like growth and, mastery. And one of the examples I look towards, because he's one of the first and one of the most clear-cut examples of 4th order consciousness, which for everyone watching, we've talked about it before, but 3rd order and 4th order. 3rd order meaning you kind of define yourselves by relationship and you can't separate yourself as easily. But 4th order is kind of like you don't give a fuck anymore. Like you do and you don't. You prioritize the people who are important, the things that are important, and then say that all of a sudden the next day you walk into work, you get fired. Doesn't matter. It's like, I was the same man before I walked in. I'll be the same man when I walk out. I would see him as like, for having incepted that idea into me and pushed a lot of us to actually think for ourselves. I would say like he's one of the top examples that come to my mind when I think of like a master of growth. But definitely those 3 individuals.
Yeah, Brandon brought up a point earlier about like evolving without losing yourself, and I thought that was dead on, because I thought the same thing of like, if I want to evolve, I assume that I have to take on things that don't align with my current version of myself, and I have to be okay with, well, I've actually mentioned this in the past, I was like, I have to be okay with killing myself. And I'm like, oh, you want to kill yourself? I'm like, well, no, I don't want to kill myself, but you have to be okay with killing the present version of yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's in a video game, you kill yourself or you die and you just respawn, but you're the same person, but you have a chance to do it differently the next time. So like thinking of like evolving, like I want to make sure that like I understand that taking on different tasks or building different habits don't mean I have to lose who I am to my core. It just means that I'm furthering the growth to become the person that aligns with who I truly am. even further. So like those things that like I'm killing off probably actually aren't a part of me at all. Like it's not getting away from myself more, it's becoming myself to its truest form. And I thought that was kind of interesting to think about. And as far as like, you know, what it might look like, you know, trying to be someone who's okay with reinventing or okay with like, you know, doing it even in the public eye too. If like I'm okay with, you know, sitting at work and I want to call that business that I'm afraid to call, whatever it might be. Like I have to do it in front of people. You know what I mean? I have to be okay with like that vulnerability of that type of situation. So, you know, I just want to make sure like when I have those opportunities, I want to stay very true to myself and also do it with like humility, do it with humble, you know, the humble aspect of life and kind of align with, you know, who I truly am. It's kind of hard to think of people that, you know, I sit there and go like, oh, that's kind of the person I would want to be. Like personally, I know that like my family knew Art Rooney, the guy who bought the Steelers originally. And like that guy, like biggest brand in the world, you know, biggest name in the city, but would like walk by and shake everyone's hand, sent my family, you know, Christmas cards, like would, you know, like ask how, oh, hey Freddie, how's your sister Patty doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's the type of person like I would strive to be. Like, you know, someone who's going to not only do the dirty work, but like when you get where you're going, also understand that like you were that person before. Like you might be like that everyday person and not letting your head get too big in that type of situation.
Wow. Damn.
Fantastic.
We're doing
dude.
a podcast. Why do you keep looking at me like that?
Because you're slapping bangers, dude.
Yeah.
You're out here juiced up on the mound right now, dude.
Yeah, dude. Juiced up throwing $120 right down the middle. You know where it's going. You just can't
And
hit
no
it.
one's hitting it.
No one's hitting it. Yeah, and I guess it goes back to like the things I appreciate too is like we've already mentioned it, but I want to see the struggle. Like I appreciate the people that are open about like when I can talk to someone, it's not about where you currently are, it's what it took you to get there. I want to be able to visualize that when I'm asking, and again, not being too proud to ask for help, I think is a huge part of growth. Like that vulnerability aspect we just mentioned was huge for me when I'm thinking about this, because a lot of people could just say like growth comes from the inside, and it does. It's a desire to want to grow, but I can appreciate where other people have already taken that journey and being proud enough to ask a certain person for help in the situation, and then also respect the fuck out of that person for offering me not only like, oh, look where I am, but here's how I got here, and here's how I can see that in you, and looking for that type of person. That's why I think finding a mentor is hard, because it has to be a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not to put you on the spot because you're one of a couple people who have heard this before, but like, it's hard to see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And, and to be able to see like that outcome that's going to come from all these things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Whenever you don't have that, you know, oh, hey, here are the 10 steps that it took me to get to this place.
Yeah.
Where all you see is just the guy on top of the mountain, but you don't see the fact that he had to carry a 55-pound backpack to get up to there with food, you know, rations and all those things to be able to make it through that journey.
I think I'm starting to realize like the logic, because I always come to you and you'll come to me with this big picture shit, and I'll just go, oh, it's not the way my brain works. Like I'm just logic. I need logic. I need to see it, you know? And I think unfortunately that's kind of a it's kind of a reptilian ass thing for me to say, dude. That's kind of a like low frequency thing for me to mention. Like it is. Like I look at all these people and like, you know, who have found success in their life, who have a platform, who's, you know, name most people know, and they were able to say like we were going back through old episodes, and you've mentioned the past. The Delulu is the Salulu. Like the delusion is crazy, man. Like that's another thing to appreciate about certain people is like you have to remove logic from the situation. Like you have to be able to dream big, and also understand that you have the power and the ability to do whatever you want. It's just how much you're willing to apply yourself to go get it. And I'm starting to change my perspective on that for sure.
I think the logic can come after. Like you look
there
back
should always
and you
be
go,
logic, sure.
yeah,
but
no, I don't. I think it has to be a part of the equation.
yeah, there can be logic through the situation, and like, you know, taking the logical next step in your delusional state of mind. You know, I think there's room for both. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Where were we going with that? Yeah.
I was just thinking that like the logic can be built through that whole process, to where like you've now gotten to that point where like, okay, I've kind of just allowed this to be delusional of going like, I'm gonna let my dreams come to me, versus like I have to take, this is what I want and I have to take these 10 steps to be able to get there.
Yeah.
Versus like, well, I will learn the logic of what I did through all of the mistakes that I potentially make on that path. And well, I didn't hit 5 of those 10. How the hell did I get here?
Yeah, like musicians, like, you know, you'll go, okay, I'm 32 years old. There's no sense in me picking up an instrument right now. That's a shitty state of mind.
Yeah.
You know, because like that's a logical thought. It's like, oh man, most people who are good at music started when they were very young. Or, you know, you watch comedy and people go, oh, I've been doing this since I was 16. Like, there's no point in starting now. You got 20 years of eating shit before you get there, and that's like fair, but you know, if you can remove the logic from the situation, that I'm just going after it anyway, and then set up a logical, you know, path for you to kind of go after that, you're removing the logic from the overarching goal, but you are setting up a path for you to kind of go after that delusional state of mind or whatever you're looking for.
Well, that made me think about the conversation that you and I just had when we were waiting for the rain to stop. We were going riding with Pat. And we started talking about the like how all the cells in your body regenerate over 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And how like if I don't, like all the time that I keep spending on not potentially starting that, like the good traits or the healthy options or those kind of things, or eating more in tune with my body versus like I want to just feel emotions right now. And I ain't knocking on it because I love it, but I just need some soul food right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like something that's
yeah.
just going to make me feel warm inside versus, all right, this is probably eating pizza for 3 days in a row is probably not the vibe, and even though I love pizza and it makes me feel so good. But then I sit there 3 days later and I go, why is my belly all bloated?
Yeah.
Oh, I just crushed out so much gluten eating
Yeah,
pizza for
geez,
3
bro.
days in a row.
Yeah.
You know,
Shitting
like
pizza across the next 3 days. Yeah.
Damn you, Domino's and your
shit and
cheesy
Play-Doh, you
stuffed
know what I mean?
crust.
Yeah, what's up, Brad?
This is modern. I go, damn you, Domino's and your cheesy stuffed crust.
Shit is so good, dude. I would eat just if they would just make a whole pie of just crust. Like, I'm getting my girlfriend. I got stuffed crust pizza the other. She's like, can you just finish the pizza portion so I could eat the crust? I'm like, you're a baller, dude. I appreciate that about you. Yeah.
Damn.
So for me, in terms of like, I look at some people. I have great family members. I have a great mom and dad who have worked their ass off. But, you know, my mom and dad were extremely young when they had kids. They were kids when they had kids. And so thinking about them having to spend 18 years, 20 years to get their kids off and running into life, and then now finally being able to turn around and look at themselves and go, when did I spend any time on myself?
Mm-hmm.
Versus I was doing everything just to make sure that I gave my kids what I didn't have myself, or what I didn't feel like I had the opportunities towards, you know, making sure that they had the opportunities to go to good schooling, to go to a good college, to get an education that would help them, you know, not be working a type of job that maybe they are going to manual labor and beat themselves up. And that's not me knocking on manual labor, because we've already talked about that before on the money episode, where manual labor really could set you up really, really nice at 25 years old nowadays, versus turning around and going, oh, Jesus, Sally Mae, you can kiss my ass. Oh, Nelnet, screw you, man, because this is BS how much I owe back.
Uh-huh.
And I look at some of the people now, mainly because these are things that I want to try to become. But like, I look at a gentleman, Andy Glaze, and Andy Glaze is like he's a firefighter, he's a dad, he's an ultra marathon runner. Dude just goes back to back to back on ultra marathons of running like 300 miles, then goes back to work in the fire hall. Guys ran like every day for the last how many years. And you just think of like that discipline and the consistency to show up, but as also being like a father. I think of another guy. Just there are great people out there who are doing awesome things, but I don't know them personally. So I don't see all that other stuff that could be going on with them. I don't see them, maybe the one day they lose their shit on their kids and maybe their kids think they're an asshole.
Yeah.
But I see the version of them that I'm like, that's the version that I want to be. But I don't see that other stuff behind the scenes, you know? So I can't sit here and say that there are absolutely kick-ass people out there. Like Art Rooney, I think that is a fantastic person when you actually know them. You live in the same city. You see them from time to time. Your family runs into them. You know their backstory. You know their shit. And it's a different thing versus I live in Pennsylvania and a guy like Andy lives in, Arizona. Yeah. And I've never met this guy before, never had a conversation with him. But I look and I go, dude's like almost 50 years old and he's doing ultra marathons and just banging them. Yeah. And then I ride my bike on the Panhandle Trail, and there's a gentleman on the Panhandle Trail who literally lives right on the trail, and he always has the new banner out. He's like the
the senior Olympic guy,
the senior Olympic homeboy. I believe his name's Mike, and I don't want to mess that up because I've never met him before. I've never ran into him, but he's an absolute G. Like the dude is just like how old, just constantly winning the senior Olympics. Like that's incredible, you know? And so I would transition into grow up. How old is too old to act like a child? And my answer was freaking never, dude. I do not ever want to grow up because if I can't laugh at a farting noise from my cousin or my niece or nephew, then I have lost myself into the corporate bullshit of a place like America. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Of where, well, that's not diligent of you, or like some Royal Crown bullshit where like you always got to be like spot on and cross your T's and dot your I's and always stand up straight, you know? Yeah. Like if I can't laugh or I can't find the joy in that bullshit, where the hell, I've lost myself.
Yeah, I don't have time for those childish things. You know, like
get your head out of the clouds, kid.
Yeah. Okay. Like that's just such a tough perspective because then like, what's the point of everything you're doing then, you know? And I think there's definitely a difference between childlike and childish. Like I think childlike is what we would all strive to be, right? Like the childlike is, I can still get in the car and blare music like I did 20 years ago when I first got my license or whatever, and still find that pocket to feel like that sense of freedom or that sense of fun. Or like I appreciate when people come and buy, like they buy a ticket package or something because like they're like 50 years old and like they can still come out and that guy will have like, his jersey on and he's screaming at the referees 4 beers deep like I was when I was in my 20s, and he's spending his hard-earned money and the bills are paid, my kids are through school, and I'm still finding ways to make myself happy the way I was 20 years ago. I still take care of work. I still take care of all my business, but I'm still doing this for the main reason, which is to allow myself the room to still experience the, normalcy and the joys of life that anyone would hope. So like, no, I don't need to be acting like, I guess childish would be like, God, childish is, me ghosting somebody because I think they wronged me or holding resentment or something, or like, I don't know. There's like maybe dodging certain types of responsibility, or even just recently, like not coming to terms with like maybe old habits, older things I didn't serve me any further. Just ignoring those, saying, no, I'll become the person who I want to be in spite of all those things. Like I think the real like that's a childish type setup where the childlike would be, I'm able to continue to grow and be an adult, but still look for those pockets of finding my inner child and finding those things that have always brought me joy in the past.
My grown-up definition was the communicator, like the actual defined, fully in the ability to communicate correctly is. And I know that's a bold statement to make, but I think that when we were kids, how often do you deal with like your niece or nephew, or like, Brandon's about to have a kid? How many questions is is Hannah going to ask you when she becomes 2 and she's like, well, why is that? oh, well,
Oh,
why
yeah.
is the sky blue?
See, I
oh,
love
well,
that. Yeah,
you
the
know?
curiosity.
I'm
Right?
here
Like, that's
for it. I got
childlike.
a lot of science in me.
Yeah, childish is pouting and being like, oh, fuck you. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and stew on this bullshit, and I'm like, I'm gonna hold this against you the whole time. And then the childlike is like all the good things about being a kid, which is again like the curiosity. I even think of that. I love that.
I think that growing up is getting to that place where, like, when you have a friend or a family member or a significant other that comes to you and they got some shit they're working on, to like, can you sit there and ask those childlike questions that you already know where they probably need to get to? But how annoying is it to have somebody basically like tell you this is what you need to do versus sit there and ask you like this very detailed, string of questions that lead you to that answer on your own?
Yeah.
Versus being the person just like, well, Brandon, this is what you need to be doing. You're doing this wrong. And you're just like, fuck you, dude. I just saw you last week pound 6 beers and then try to do something that you shouldn't have been doing. Or I just saw you do something completely effed up that I could never imagine talking to somebody the way that you just talked to them. And you're like, fuck you for imposing your bullshit on me. I think the grown-up is the person who's able to not impose their shit onto people, but share their experience and knowledge and wisdom in a way that allows the other to find the answers for themselves.
Yeah, they're the type of people that don't think that their success is affected or the trajectory of their success is affected by the trajectory of other people's success. Like, you want to bring other people up with you, not that, oh, if you're successful, then maybe that's going to take away from me. Like that's a childish mentality. It's like, well, if you're winning, then there's no way I'm going to win too. Like, why can't it be that we can all win together?
And also, like, I was thinking about, like, well, this is the way that it has to be. That you have to take these steps to be able to get to this success. Versus, like, dude, I'm pretty sure that the map could go ding, 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 ding for, like, everybody. Like, I could go through the woods down by the creek, or you could go up and over the mountain to get to the same valley on the other side.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to take the high road or do you want to take the low road? We can still get to the same point. Like, it doesn't have to be this defined structure of, well, you have to follow this route.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Adidas bucket hat today. Not specifically because I'm going to go see Oasis, a band I've loved since I was a child. But definitely, I'm channeling that Brit energy, bro. And they're not actually a British band. For anyone listening, they are Irish. There's no Irish. They'll tell you there's no British blood. So that's why I lied. I never knew that. I was like, oh, I don't really like British culture. There's a reason why I like this band. They're all off the boat from Ireland.
Aren't they Northern Ireland, though?
No, they are straight from. I couldn't tell you from where, but then they're not Northern Irish. No, I don't believe so. Maybe they are. Who knows? You might be right.
Because that's the only way why they would be considered British is because Northern Ireland is technically like Scotland and owned by, like, Northern Ireland is technically the UK.
No, I don't think so.
And I didn't know that until I was setting up the itinerary, helping my mom for her Ireland trip, and I found that out.
Wow.
No. They are. I don't know. I'm not going to speak to it either way. I don't think that is true. I believe they are from Ireland, but their parents are from Ireland, moved to Manchester, and that's where they were born. So regardless of the whole situation, that has nothing to do with anything I'm trying to say. What I am trying to say about the band and the way that they become famous was I was listening to an interview from them, and it was really funny because you think of all these bands and how important for it is to them to get a record deal. And like, that's the big thing. Oh, I'm working to get a record deal. And for them, it was, we're just going to play music. And if people like us, they're going to show up. And like, I like that because I thought about our podcast. Like, we're not out here begging people to listen to us at all. And they just kept playing. They showed up in Glasgow, Scotland one day and played a show. And this dude who just missed his train just happened to stumble into the right bar at the right time. Said, hey, you guys have a record deal? And they're like, no. Like, would you like one? Like, yes, please. And then they became the biggest band in the world for 3 years.
Yeah.
And now they're going to play a huge tour in 2025. Still is one of the biggest bands in the world. Just crazy because, like, what you just said is, like, if it's nice to have a mentor, it's nice to have someone who will guide you where you think you need to go, or like, but that also comes from the place of, like, you should pick and choose what you take from those people. It's nice they're vulnerable and open, but you have to understand that the way they got to where they are is not going to be the same way you're going to get to where you want to go. You should just kind of pick and choose what stands out, what aligns with you, and move forward, understanding that like everyone's path is completely different, and you should have a list of your priorities, what aligns with you the most, and then go from there, and understanding that if I just keep rolling with this, then I'm most likely going to end up where I want to go.
Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off right now, dude.
Mm.
Jeez Louise.
What was that like boxing training? Can't you do a little boxing training with the wax on, wax off? I don't know.
It's karate, but
Oh yeah,
with boxing, not so much.
Okay, karate, deflect. Oh, wow, that's the whole point of the fucking movie, dude. Someone take over. Boxing, karate.
Well,
It wasn't called the Boxing Kid for a reason. That would have not.
Boxing Kid.
That was not the point, man. Can we? You just cut that part out.
No, we'll keep it because it's hilarious.
So I'll chime in with the how old I think is too old to be acting like a child. Also, never. I think that, honestly, that was a great distinction, the childish and childlike, that really helped me kind of feel how I felt wrapped around it. Because for me, I'm like, yeah, you got to be childlike for life. Like, you know, we're not going to get religious, but they talk about it in the Bible. They're like, you know, I forget what you've mentioned it a few times about, like, give me a child that's up to like age 7 and I'll show you who they are for the rest of their life.
The old Jesuits supposedly said that, dude.
And for me, I just talked to someone recently. I didn't know he was like as fit and into fitness as he is. He's probably like pushing 50, but he still was doing like Spartan races. And he's like, yeah, it's just like hours long of you acting like a kid. He's like, no man left behind. You're all like, it's a big giant playground. And I'm like, geez, I didn't think about it that way. I just thought like running, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he's taking the whole different road. No, it's like a giant playground and we're all a bunch of kids. They're all grown up. But the second part of what I wrote was the goal is to feel like a kid, but take responsibility like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we keep bringing that whole concept of accountability, responsibility up. It's like, you can almost do whatever you want. Just have accountability and responsibility. Like, if you're going to, like, the present moment, responsibility. And then if it's something that happened in the past, take accountability. Like, as long as you're following those two things, I think you're perfectly fine to just act like a child, but with responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
I would hope that in your 50s, you understand how to get messed up at a concert and not like, like that's where like I think of where you're going with that of like, okay, I've had all these experiences in my life, but I haven't learned from them at all. What the hell? Holy shit.
Take
How
row
the
of
hell
beer
did I
belly.
get home?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. 100%. No, we had a guy who got banned from the arena recently because he was a child. You take someone who I'd be happy to work with, who comes in, they have all the responsibilities, kids taken care of, they do this because it's something they love. Great. This person was like, came in, thought they were, big britches because they sat in expensive seats, treated everyone like shit. Personally shoved me out of the way one time walking to his seats. Like, I'm in a suit talking to a client. This guy shoulders me because I'm like halfway in the aisle. That's someone you can't respect because they're trying to explore their inner child. It's something I'm sure they loved going to games, but you have to have that accountability for your surroundings and other people. And a child may be able to learn and understand that I'm going to afford you the time to realize that you're wrong. When you get into your 30s, dude, that is too old. I'm sorry. At this point, I am too old to act like a child. You hit a 3 in your age and you're still acting like a child and running away from accountability and responsibility, then we have issues.
Well, we don't talk current events, but how about that gentleman who just got banned from all MLB parks? There's a guy who just got banned from all MLB parks because of what he was saying about some dude's mother.
Oh my God.
And I just think of remember when you were young and you ran your mouth at someone?
Yeah, he said something about someone's dead mom, dude.
You got socked in the mouth. Whenever oh shit, that's what happens when I talk shit on somebody else. What happened with us that the internet has taken over to where we think we are hiding behind these keyboards, and it's I can say whatever I want because no one can see my face. So ha ha ha. And then it versus I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to beat your face in. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like,
Well, unfortunately for people to grow, and it takes being humbled sometimes. Like it does. Like I think of like even past relationships, and I was talking, my girlfriend and I were talking about our past relationships recently, and I was thinking about how many times I got stuck in a situation that I knew was wrong for me, but it took like a huge blow up for me to understand, okay, you don't have a fucking choice now. Like you gotta change something. Like, and I like fear now in my life because I've learned from that. Like, I don't want to have to get to that point again where like something gets to the point where like, if I don't choose to grow in my job, that I get fired, and then I have to go, fuck, if I had just put in the time, or if I had just been a little more realistic with myself, I wouldn't have to come to these terms. And unfortunately, as people get older, like that childish type mindset will get you humbled, man. One time or another, it's coming for you, unfortunately.
We have a lot of people, they feel like they can, well, not they feel, I can't say what people feel. They act like nothing's going to happen. And like we're just talking about with getting socked in the mouth. It's funny because I won't mention, because of current events, who we were just talking about earlier, about a guy making it very publicly known, I'm going to come fight you. And it's like, you're literally advertising, threatening that you're going to go fuck somebody up. I'm like,
yeah.
have you not heard of like giving the person a call? I'm sure you could just like give them a call, or maybe not put that all on like blast for yourself. You could just like be mature. I don't know. Maybe just like say, hey man, I don't appreciate you talking all that shit. Maybe just do that. Give them a call instead of like, I don't know, running your mouth for the entire world to see. It's like, this isn't like a high school playground like type of area, as if high schools have playgrounds. Who cares? But this isn't like the basketball court at high school. It's like, okay, this is real life. If you're gonna like go like initiate with somebody, go do it privately. Like, don't do it in front of the whole world.
Yeah, this ain't recess.
Yeah,
You
what
know?
the hell?
This is reality, and you are literally putting yourself out there for all these people to interpret you in whatever way they might want to, versus being the person who might be able to say like, hey man, can we sit down and talk about that shit you said? I didn't appreciate it. And now it's, let's hash this out. And this is what I'm hearing. Is this really what you said? Or do you have a different story to this? And I just experienced that literally in my life, where I ended up having to go to a guy and say like, listen, man, this is the shit that I'm hearing. What's the story here? Because I thought we had no animosity between us, and I was helping you in every way, shape, or form that I could. And he was like, whoa, brother. I told people that I agreed with you, but I didn't think it was the place to bring up that type of conversation, because there might have been some people who didn't need to be involved in that. And I was like, yo, hell yeah. Going forward, dude, I appreciate your honesty. I realized that like I got a completely wrong story fed to me. Hell yeah, dude. I got your back. You got my back. Let's make it all good. And having that conversation one-on-one, not, blasting them in front of everybody else in a company or in a team setting or whatever it might be, can go so far versus being the guy who's just like, I'm coming after you.
And God forbid you're the person who goes, hey man, I know I said some rough shit about you. I kind of want to talk this through and make sure you know where I was coming from, and get on an even playing field again.
Yeah.
Like that's another step completely. Like it's one thing to pull the guy aside who is talking shit. It's a completely different step to go, oh, I think I fucked up. Do you mind if we talk about how I'm a piece of shit and maybe figure this thing out together? So, with that being said, that would be something I would be proud of. So are there some ways that you have been proud of the growth and, you've experienced in your life?
I think that there are so many things that I cannot control, that I felt like I could find a way to be able to control them in my life, and was just constantly blasted with, man, I thought I had everything squared away here. This is not even close to what I thought was the outcome. I planned for this. I planned for 42 different ways that this was going to happen. And it was the 43rd. And like, you know,
God forbid.
God forbid it was number 43. But I am so proud of myself for the things that I have been able to realize that I can control. My emotions being one of them, and my reactions towards things, because I was totally someone who came from a household that, I'll be honest, we kind of were very loud. We really shared our opinions, you know, and it was kind of like whoever was screaming kind of loudest would those would be the words that were the last words that were spoke, and the last words that were the loudest were the ones that were going to fall into people's memory.
Cool.
And so I constantly think that I approached things like with this like bull mentality of like, I'm gonna, if I, you know, stand my ground, I stand loud, I stand proud, that's how things are gonna go, versus being someone who like, I can deal with like the craziest chaos and just go, you okay? All right, now that we got that shit off our chest and now we know what we got to do, all right, let's sit here and just think for a second. What are the ways that we could potentially fix this? And I got you, man. I think we could do this, this, and this. What do you think about that? Well, that makes a lot of sense. Fuck you. You know? And it's just like, I'm so proud of being able to, I was someone who didn't have a lot of control over my impulses in life. And now I feel like I've gotten way more of a grasp and an understanding or an overstanding of how to handle those situations with grace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. What about you, Tit?
Yeah, I guess like, again, trying to continue to be myself in a world where people, not certain bald people who run thousands of miles tell you to be hard every day. Being okay with being soft. Like I wrote I haven't played Pokemon in years, but didn't like Geodude, didn't he have a power up called Harden? And it's just like such a defense mode thing. It's just like, I'm just gonna harden. Just like, you're already a fucking rock, dude. Like chill. You know what I mean? So like more of the absorb and less of the hardened, I think, is something I'm okay with. Like absorbing failures, absorbing situations, like kind of building myself back up and then moving forward, as opposed to like having to stay hard. Like I gotta be tough. I gotta stay mentally tough. Anything that happens to me, I just gotta fucking power through. No matter what happens, I just gotta be strong and resilient. Like that's not strong at all. Honestly, I think like this mentality, I've had that issue in the past of like what strength or personal strength is like, you know, is this idea of resiliency that like no matter what happens, I just have to push forward. And unfortunately for me, I think that's counterproductive as shit. Like I'd be better served to be for growth wise to kind of absorb situations, understand what has gone wrong, understand where I can be better and move forward there, as opposed to, you know, just having to be a tough piece of shit the whole time. Like that's not going to get me anywhere. That's probably to keep me in the same place as opposed to moving forward. So like for me, I think that getting out of that situation recently for me, I think changing the way I think of things and not having to be the tough motherfucker all the time, and more of the like, I'm an emotional person. It's so tough because you want to say weak. Like I'm not weak. Like I just want to be that person that's like okay with failing. And I've been better about that recently. And another thing I thought it would be kind of just the idea of, I don't want to say like breaking generational shit, like whether it's like, you know, my mom and dad getting a divorce or something like that. Like that's one thing for me, is like it's very important for my girlfriend and I, like I know I'm with the right person, and she comes from a place where like nasty divorce and parent relationship. So like looking at it that way is okay, instead of like when tough things occur to us, acting like, oh, we're hard, like we'll get through this, like just it just takes inner strength, and we're just staring at each other like making grunting faces, like no, nothing's ever gonna happen there. But like absorbing the situation, understanding, cool, like we're going to fuck up. There's no way we're not going to have problems in our relationship, and then wanting to be better than that. I think those things are what I'm most proud of, is like seeing the faults of people that have come before me. My mom and dad would say the same thing. I would not wish my life upon you for like the bad reasons. Like the good reasons, sure, I want to help promote and show you the things that I've learned from. And that's one thing I think I've done a good job of, is understanding that I have this really cool playbook of people that are maybe a little older than me. And I try to tell my little brother this. It's like, dude, you have the easiest life of all. Like, you think little sibling shit sucks, but what you have, and you've mentioned this before, is like, oh, I always felt like I was chasing. I was never strong enough. I was never smart as my older brother. But what you don't realize is that you actually are just like able to see, cool, if I just put myself in their shoes from 3 years ago, like, okay, how did they take this? Okay, maybe they screwed up here, so I'm going to go that way instead of this way. And like those types of things are really cool to understand, that like I have a playbook in front of me of like my parents. Maybe they didn't have a great relationship. Why didn't they have a great relationship? Maybe they weren't with the right person, and that's perfectly fine. I'm happy I'm here. You know, my girlfriend and I, again, talking past relationships, was the same thing. Was like, you know, if our parents didn't get together, neither of us would be here. So like that served a purpose in its own. But outside of that, we kind of wish they had a better go of it. And it's cool for me to see like my dad with my stepmom. Like he's with the right person now. But it took him so much screwing up to get there that I'm sure he's happy that he ended up in that situation. But for me, I just want to make sure I get it right the first time. And I want to take the playbook I've been given from the people before me to make sure I do it right. And if it takes patience or it takes slowing everything down, then I have to be okay with that.
I think of a malleable structure as in something like clay. And, you know, people make houses out of clay.
Yeah.
But you water it down too much and it's just soup, versus allowing it to be like, you got to have that water to be able to make it into something, but it's how much am I watering down this situation versus am allowing that balance to come in, that then can become this structure over time of allowing that watered downness to leave. And now I'm left with this like solid foundation that I can build on top of.
Yeah, you have to be weak before you're strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I
Brandon,
like that.
You got anything else to add on that?
Oh, yeah, he does.
I'm like, okay, so what about this makes it okay? I think I have an edited version of my response, but I'm most proud of like my bachelor's and my master's and the resourcefulness that it added to me. Like the inner resourcefulness, like it's not much for me to look back on, but whenever you write your first 10-page paper, it's a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I had to write a 30-page paper, and that fucking sucked. But there's a doctor right now somewhere out in the world who's writing a thesis who's like, fuck you. Like, try 100.
Yeah.
But I think about the inner resourcefulness that it took and created to get through either one of those. And granted, a lot of people would probably agree, you don't have to be the smartest person to get your bachelor's or your master's, but you do have to at least have some work ethic, and you have to have some perseverance, and you have to be able to push through. That aspect of growth and learning, you need both of them. You need both to get through and push through. You could cheat your way through, but you can't cheat your way through the entire degree. You need to at least like have some kind of ethic, some kind of progress, something pushing you forward. And then my other aspect I'm most proud of is like physical fitness feats. And not because of the accomplishment of, we'll just say, a mile. My first mile that I ran consistently, it took a long time. And I would have to break it up. And as I was growing through stronger lungs to compensate for asthma, like a smaller windpipe, I had to have a lot of inner talk and self-talk.
Sorry.
He's a grower, not a shower.
I know,
Okay.
okay.
Don't be childish. Come on.
I'm
No, I'm
sorry.
kidding.
Don't be childish.
I just fucked everything.
Childlike.
I'm kidding. But the inner self-talk that I had, it stacked up. And I've talked to Trisha about that, where I'm like, whenever you work out, it's going to suck. It's going to suck for like the first like 3 weeks. And then your body's going to adjust. You won't be as exhausted. Eventually, you're going to have things that are going through your brain. Like, you're first going to have the message, stop, stop, stop,
Oh,
stop.
God. It's that parasite
stop,
we were talking
stop.
about, dude. It's the parasite in you. Just, comfort, please. Just comfort me.
Yeah, and it hates it. And then eventually, you might become numb to the hate of wanting to stop. And then you might have different things that start to replace it. And they say, keep going. You don't even think about it. Your muscles don't even think about the pain. Just count. And then you're like, 1, 2, 3. And you're like, oh, yeah, shit. What am I at now? Oh, I'm at 9. Oh, I got 3 more. And then you're like, oh, I didn't even think I could do like 8. But somehow you, for instance, with me with pull-ups, when you guys were there when I was working my way up to it, like it went from 4 to 8 in under a month. And it was just like, just because of all that self-talk, you know, I'm walking through the garage. I don't have to do any pull-ups. I was like, yeah, but you fucking suck at them. So you're going to have to do 6. And then I go over, but it's hot. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Then just do 4.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I did 8. And then I come back, I do another set of 8. And it's like, I'm most proud of that inner talk that came from physical fitness feats. And I'm most proud of the resourcefulness that came from doing 10-page, 30-page papers, hating it. Oh, and one of the best, group projects. They fucking suck. When you first come into college and you're like, okay, stranger, we all have to do work together. Let's divide it up in equal parts and let's come up with a plan of accountability. So I would say I'm really proud of group projects, how I handle them in college, because you're like, we're going to need all of us. And I don't plan on leaving anyone behind. Granted, it happens. I've seen it in tons of group projects. You got one person, they're gone for like 15 days, and you're like, Bueller. All right, fuck Bueller. He didn't participate. Here's all of our project. Bueller can go kick rocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say I'm most proud of the resourcefulness and inner talk that I've developed through those.
So I think we've really hit a lot of ways that we might look at how we need to grow up. I think we've kind of hit that one. So why don't we just head off into the last question to, wrap this episode up for us. When do you see the most growth in your life, Brandon?
So with this question, I have to ask, did either of you write this?
I did not write this question.
I didn't write this.
I don't recall writing this. Whenever I wrote 1 through 6, I just was like, where did this extra question come from?
Yeah, we've been ripping 6s.
We-
So I don't,
Maybe I did, but I don't think
Because
so.
I found it at the bottom. I had all my questions written together. And then I was like, all right, who tapped into here and wrote an extra question? And I was like, it's too good to not put in here. So the most growth I've seen in my life, I would say that mine is around, one, it's around identity. Like right now, I feel like at this age, I have the most clarity in my identity. And granted, there's still a whole lot of blurry areas. And, who I am, for the most part, you can find it in one of our earliest episodes about us being as transparent as possible, trying to get the inner self and the outer self to have the tiniest window where it's like see-through, and you're trying to take that across groups. So you're trying to be consistent. And I hate that whenever you're taking off a hat and then putting on a different hat. I'm trying to make it so that I wear the same hat all the time. This one that says Girl Dad on it. No, I'm kidding. But I'm trying to be that consistent person across all. So that's where I'd see the most growth is my identity. But then also, with the family coming, I would see the most growth also with Trisha. We've been through multiple job changes in the past 6 years. We've moved to multiple cities, and we've also visited multiple cities. So there's been so much growth. And for each of us, I swear it's like one thing a year, one big major thing a year is happening every year. And it's just because it's just that prime. I'm 32 now, and we met when I was 26. So it's just like every year there's so much growth, and there's something like a big stamp. Just last year, so in 2023, we were in a house that we were renting, and then we went to buying a house, and then boom, next year, February, finding out we're having a kid. So like there's a lot of growth for me, identity, but then for both of us collectively.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it, so I'm not going to ramble too much, but the comfort in the uncomfortable, the getting in the ice bath and sitting there and staring at you while you laugh at me type shit. My
I only laugh because you go, I think I peed a little.
I'm not sure, I'm numb, so I may have pissed my pants. I'm not, well, not my pants, but and thank God, that's why you let me go second.
I'm pretty sure because every time I get in there, I feel like I have to pee, and then I have to walk around the corner of my house and take a pee so that I don't have to walk 3 sets of stairs.
So you're pretty
up to the
confident on
bath.
peeing in your ice bath?
I mean, more than likely. I'm not denying that it's possible. I have to hold it in extremely hard to make sure that I don't pee when I get in the ice
I feel
bath.
like that's disrespectful. Like, I don't like.
I never once
why would I
thought.
pee in your bath?
I never
We gotta stop
once.
talking about peeing, guys.
I never once thought about that
Yeah.
as being it, but I'm just I'm making the joke about it. I never once thought you go second. I've just always gone first to like allow the other person to just think like, oh, that piece of shit did it. I better fucking do this too.
Yeah, well, that is a nice mentality, kind of get yourself to do it. And my boss at work, he's really good at reads a lot of shit, shares a lot of shit with me, and like the Brandon, you're familiar with the eating the frog term, I assume.
I know what it is. I don't know why I don't remember.
Yeah, so like it's the idea of like the first thing you do of the day is the hardest thing you need to do all day. So just like knock it out. So if I go into work, like what's the one thing that I am what's that daunting task that I don't want to do, that I ignore, that I'm doing, and go do it first. Get it out of the way. Don't think about it all day, because everything you're gonna do is gonna be with that in the back of your head. Just go do it. Get it out of the way. So that being said, like trying to wake up and exercise in the morning as opposed to at night, because all I'm thinking about is, oh man, like I know how important exercise is for me, for my physical state, my mental state, blah blah blah. So now it's been a couple days a week I have to do in the morning. Like it's now it's not even a question. It's not even that bad, dude. I live, God forbid, like I have people that drive an hour to work and an hour home every day. I drive to work and I'm there in 5 minutes. You know, like I have no excuse for me to get a workout in the morning. I have to wake up at 7 in the morning. You're probably gonna laugh your fuck. You're at the office at 7 in the morning. You know, yeah. I'm waking. For me to do the thing that I find as a daunting task, or find like, holy shit, like this is the big, scary monster creeping. It's just waking up when you've already got to the office. Putting that in perspective makes me feel horrible. But we'll move on from that. So I guess it's the idea of like when I'm doing things that I don't want to do, that directly correlates with growth. Like if I want to do things I want to do, well, shit, dude, I'm going to sit here and play Xbox for 4 hours, drink 6 beers, and get Taco Bell DoorDash to my house. That's not doing hell yeah. Dong. Man, we were on a hot streak with that. But I guess the thought process would be like, okay, what are the things I don't want to do? Well, I definitely don't want to wake up at 7 a.m., work out, shower, pack my lunch that's healthy and takes time to put together, get the smoothie, go to work, call the account that I didn't want to call because I'm afraid of the answer they're going to give me, work all day, go home, and then like cook a dinner after a hard day's work. And then after all that's said and done, instead of pulling out like the controller or putting on a movie, oh, now it's time for me to work on the podcast. And then when I get home from the podcast, oh, is it time to for myself? Maybe sometimes, and that's okay. And I think that's another part of growth we didn't mention is you can still just fuck off. Like you can still fall back into like comfort. It's okay. It just can't be the priority. And we've had conversations about that recently of like different things and different relationships with things. And I think like that's really important for me, is like to not have to live in a state of comfort, to continue to grow. It takes for me to put myself in uncomfortable situations, and I have to just be okay with that. And when I do, that's where I see the most growth in my life.
Yeah, it takes me back to a psychology class that I took where the teacher, I actually had my mom for this class.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's dope.
yeah, it was actually, yeah, she was teaching classes at CCAC. I had my mom for this class. And she said there was 2 different ways to be able to look at things in life. One was that method. And that's the only reason why I'm sharing this, is because I think that this would be beneficial to throw in as well. There's the method of, I'm going to put the 10 things that I have to do on a list, and I'm going to bang out the hardest things because everything's going to get easier as that goes. Versus the person who might need to put the hardest thing last because they know that's going to take the most amount out of them.
Yeah.
And allow themselves to get those little wins that then build up to the bigger wins, that then build up to that monster win for the day. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with either of those.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought it up, because we were constantly
It's
sharing
actually-
that
yeah.
don't look at things as it just has to be this way. But there's also that opportunity to look at things from the complete opposite spectrum of it.
Yeah, and that's why you should allow people, as you continue to grow, you'll learn to allow people to grow at their own pace.
Yeah. For me, I would say that when I see the most growth in my life, it's actually when I'm being real with myself. Like, I'm all about the Delulu is the Salulu kind of mentality. But if I'm not being real with how I'm actually acting, like, and this is a video that I probably want to make at some point in time that I'll probably go into a little bit deeper, but we were talking about on Wednesday after you were leaving. And it's like, all right, think of yourself as walking this straight line. And on the left side of you is the timeline that you're comfortable with, that you're used to living. And on the right side of that line is the timeline that you're trying to step into. That's the version of who you want to become. And when you're walking that fine line between the two and you're trying to veer right more and more, that left side is going to just constantly try to pull you more and more back to that comfort that you already know, because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you're going to walk around like me after 12 beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, just essence all over.
And so when I'm focusing on that timeline that I'm living on right now and allowing myself the comfortability of like, okay, I can take 2 steps towards who I want to be. Oh, shit. But today there's a lot of that old me that's coming out that's like, I actually kind of need these old, vices to get through this day, because what the hell's going on? Or I need some of these old, mentalities that I used to use to be able to get through these situations, of whether that's talk to myself in the Delulu is the Salulu and not be realistic with myself. Okay, if I'm faking it till I make it right now, that's okay, to allow myself to become the person who I'm like, I don't fake shit to make it. I make it what it is, And so that's the one piece that I could say of like, when do I see the most growth in life is when I focus on that structure, and you hit the word that I absolutely love. When I am not being consistent with the things that I'm doing, I am going to go so hard back to the left and be like, damn, I got a mountain to climb to get back out of here. Like, what grave did I just dig myself? Oh, shit. Now I got to build steps to get out of this damn hole. Like,
Yeah, you're going to be wishing you were a shower at that point.
All right, y'all. This was an absolutely kick-ass episode on growth, bonsai or bamboo. And I would allow these gentlemen and myself, we got Brandon, we got Derry, we got myself, Zach, but I want to give these guys an opportunity to maybe throw out what their thoughts are on the bamboo versus the bonsai.
I know a lot about the bamboo because when I got suspended in my senior year of high school, my punishment for the entire week I was out of school was to dig up all the bamboo in our yard.
God.
And you don't realize how crazy it is, because what you see on the surface is one thing, but the roots that those suckers build is insane. Because you can just pull, chop up the bamboo, you're on your way. But it's like a hub. It's a brick of roots, and it's impossible to get out. So with the bamboo, it's like, it was interesting for me because like it's building up this huge thing underground, and then within weeks, like poof, straight up. So I thought with like the bamboo, I don't think they like correlate like one is one thing and like it's A or B. I think the bamboo for me was like, okay, it's a lot of that like in the dark type growth. I'm going to continue to build everything underground, and then next time you see me, I'm fucking shooting through the ground and I'm 10 feet tall. You know,
Yeah.
like what the hell? Where'd that guy come from?
Yeah.
You know, and then the bonsai is back to like what I was talking about, the plants on my stairs or whatever, which is like you kind of have to like, it's more like intentional, and like it's more of like, you know, you're kind of trimming like little branches off, and you're just kind of forming the right thing. So like you have an idea of what the bonsai tree is supposed to look like, but you have to be okay with like cutting off, you know, maybe a bad habit, or cutting off a shitty branch that's going, you know, the whole tree is going this way and this branch is going that way. Maybe a little trim would help a little bit too. So I think for the bamboo, it's like a lot of that doing the work in the dark, and then before you know it, look at me now. And then the bonsai for me stuck out because it's like, okay, cool. And that kind of correlates back to like trimming the old habits, being like a little more fine tuned with the way you approach how you want to grow.
I love it.
I think there may be a lot of overlap in what we say, and you know that'll be fine. Most of the time, I think we try only to agree on accident. But like Derek said, it's a lot of that stuff is grown. It's sitting there waiting in the dark, and then next thing you know, boom! If you're not paying attention, it's just going to take over the yard. For me right now, I have it in the corner of my yard, and I understand. You know, you let that sucker grow until that first leaf pops, and then boom, take away its strength right off the leaves. Everything green that's not a stem, you take it away. And then the bonsai, I see it as, it's like an iguana. It's going to grow to the size of its container. If you let it grow, it'll grow. But you don't have to. You could nurture it, send it the directions you want. But the bamboo is just going to go wild if you let it. But also, like we said, like, it spends so much time working on developing its roots, getting ready, and then all of a sudden overnight, bam, it can jump a foot. It could jump. I would leave it at a foot, because that's what I've seen. Like mine, it grew a few inches overnight. But if you're not paying attention to it, it's just gonna explode.
Yeah, and hey, compared to other trees, it's a tiny tree, but some people like tiny trees.
Yeah.
You know, my girlfriend likes tiny trees compared to like a big oak tree. It's fine.
Same. I like the tiny tree also.
You're not a redwood? I'm pretty
Ride
sure
us out, big dog.
I'm pretty sure I'm from Oregon.
Ride us out, big dog.
All right. For me, bamboo, I looked at bamboo as more of the invasive species that it is.
Yeah.
To where you can do all this growth and have no remorse for what you're doing. You're taking over space. Your energy just vampiring people. You're just an invasive species. Versus, to me, the bonsai was this structured mentality towards your growth. Because like a bonsai, you were saying like, and the picture of these is from my grandma's house. My grandma's got like 30 bonsais at her house, and she's growing all kinds of different stuff as bonsais, not just your typical like bonsai tree. She's literally cutting like little snippets of things and turning them into, you know, the bonsai tree. And I think of bonsai as being this very structured mentality of having that consistency of trimming the bushes, trimming the hedges, you know. Oh man, this root has grown, this branch has grown so beautiful, and it's so long, and look at all this growth that I've done, but I'm just going to go whack because it doesn't vibe with the aesthetic of the rest of the tree. Okay, that's great. Now maybe I can shape that and form it into something else, but to me, the bonsai was that structured growth versus the bamboo was that just, I'm taking over in any way, shape, or form. It is me. I am focused on myself, and I don't think about the other plants and species around me. I'm here to take over kind of mentality. All right, y'all. This was an absolute kick-ass episode of growth, bonsai or bamboo. And
Why'd you point at me when you said that?
ah, shit, dude. I'm sorry, dog. I didn't mean it like that.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
So I'll say it again. We got Brandon. We got Derry. Myself, Zach. And this is the Dismount Squad telling you, as we usually say, don't trust us. Trust yourself, because that's the way that you do things. You allow others to grow into who they want to be. You trust that process, and you know that everybody out here has all the answers for themselves. It's just riding along with us as we dump all of our bullshit, all of our personal stuff out for the world to see and allow you to steal any little tidbits that feel like you or feel comfortable to you to allow you to grow into who you want to be. So we appreciate you guys listening. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Later.
Thanks again for tuning in to episode 46, Growth, Bamboo or Bonsai. Don't hesitate to catch the gang's next release, Prehistoric, How Did We Live Before Cell Phones? The gang takes a dive at talking about what was life like when we had to look out the windows of the car when mom was taking us to practice. Let's give you 2 sneak peek questions out of the 6 from the episode outline for this one. One of the questions: are there ways that you benefited from cell phones over the years that without them you feel things would have been extremely different or not as good? And another one of those questions from that outline is, do you feel that deep communication in your life has actually suffered from the ease of access or become stronger? We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.